All right, so I just watched The Backrooms with a couple of friends of mine, and I liked it for the most part. I think that there were definitely some things that could have been better. I think that they did a really great job in setting up tension and atmospheric dread in the first moments of the film, when they're first getting started in the actual suspense and the thriller. It's actually very, very impressively done. They have some good found footage camcorder type material in there, and they're able to keep the monster in the dark for most of the movie. The problem is, the further that you get into the film, the characters start making all of the same classic horror movie protagonist mistakes, where they're tripping over everything, they're barely able to move. It seems like adrenaline doesn't exist because these people they're very easily getting hurt and they're not doing anything, along with the absolutely invalid reasons for doing things. These people seem to have maybe 2 brain cells competing for third place, and it's not great. You get some of the characters in there that are intelligent, that do make some wise decisions, but then they have horrible choices and horrible decision-making abilities after they make those wise decisions. So they have an idea as to what's smart, but then the characters themselves act incredibly stupid. Not all the way, some characters act pretty smart, but it does seem like there's a little bit of as the movie goes on, there's a downward trend. The film starts off great. It is fantastic at the beginning. I was literally sitting there going, wow, this is awesome. They have some jump scares in the film, but what they do is they build up tension. They let it marinate. They let that moment sizzle just a little bit. And then as it builds towards its precipice, then finally you get the release, and that's really great. It was really fantastic. It was the first time in a long time I've actually been kind of spooked in a horror movie, and it did a really good job at that. And if it was mostly just that for the film, then I think it would have been a fantastic film. But the problem is, when you actually start getting into characters and character motivation, the movie starts to decline. The movie starts to decline, and the actions and the decisions of the characters start to decline, and it just kind of becomes this point where at the end of the story, you're sitting there wondering, why did I watch this? The first bits of the movie, the actual horror elements are pretty good. They're pretty freaking fantastic. But then it just gets weird towards the end, and it doesn't land, Anyways, that's my spoiler-free review. I will release a much longer video detailing the events of the film as best as I can in terms of conveying what happens in the story, and then I'll go from there. But this is my spoiler-free review. I would give it a solid 5 to 7 out of 10. I think it was a decent film, but I don't know if I think I would rewatch it for the purpose of enjoying something on repeat.